I'm sorry guys, I started the recording. Thanks for reminding. Okay, awesome. Analysis, create calculated field. So we saw date add. So basically if you want to add some interval to your date, then you can use date add. Okay, we also saw date part. So basically if you want to extract month level or day level, so if you want to concatenate to a level, concatenate means like break or cut to a level, then we use date part. Then date diff, as you assume. So basically what does date diff do? If you want to find the difference between two dates, then okay, if you want to find the difference between two dates, then you can use the date diff function. So for example, if someone asks you, okay, I have a question, there is a region, okay, in each region I would like to find out, okay, see, remember this data, I have an order date and a ship date. In each region I would like to find out the average difference between my order date and ship date. Okay, so basically what is the latency? Okay, so what is the time that I'm wasting, or production time, you can say. What is this time between order date and ship date? What's the average for that? So to do that, okay, what can you do? You can find the date diff function. Okay, date, you can use date diff. So if you want to find in the number of days, okay, date diff, what's the date part in days? Start date is my order date, sorry, start date should be ship date because ship date is bigger, right? Ship date and order date. Date diff, day, ship date, order date. Simple, right? So what does this calculation give me? Say production lead time or production time. Okay, click OK. Now my production time is created. Drag and drop it here. Instead of this, I'd like to find average. Now I know that I made a mistake here. So what I can do, I can simply double click here and I can edit it right here. Okay. Now what I did basically is I multiplied with -1 to make it from negative to positive. If I need to round to 2 digits, I can simply double click here and I can write it right here. Okay. Or if I need to change from my time, I can also do it from here. So this can be used for ad hoc calculations also. So stay, instead of region, you'd like to see state. I can simply type it over there, leave it. I can double click it here and use region. Come out, okay. So this ad hoc part you could not have been done in Tableau 8. This is one of the differences between 8 and 9. Okay, perfect. The next one, let's see our date functions. Date add, date diff. Next is date name. Returns a part of a given date as a string. So basically, say earlier in date part, if you wanted to find out which month it's coming from, it was giving, so say month in this date was 4, but in date name the same thing will come as April. Okay, the month, you're basically changing it. So you can also use it for Monday, Tuesday, and so on. The next one is date parse. So what does this do? Converts a string to a date in a specified format. So date parse, you'll give a format and then you'll give a string. So what does this do? Basically, it will convert from your normal string using this format that you mentioned to the specified date. Okay, date part we just saw. Date trunc, so date trunc basically cuts it off. Okay, so in earlier case, similar to earlier case, these two have been cut off to the month level. These two for the month level. So not just to the month level, you can also cut it to the day level, week level. Okay, all those things could have been done with date trunc. Okay, awesome. Day. What does day do? Basically, to find returns the day of a given date as an integer. That's all. Simple, right? Day of a date gives you the date as an integer. Okay. Similar like day, we also have year. We also have a month. Okay. The next thing is date. So what is date is, it's a Boolean function. Okay, returns true or false. Booleans are basically, it will give 0 or 1 or true false. That's the return value. Here what does it give? Basically it will, you'll give a string as an argument. Okay, whatever you pass inside this parenthesis are arguments. So you'll pass a string, and basically what Tableau will do is it will check whether the string that you passed is a date or not. If it's a date, then true is the result. If it's false, so basically if the string that you passed is not a date, then false is your result. Okay, then we have a max and a min. So similar to max and min of anything, we also have it for dates. Okay, returns the maximum of a single expression across all records, or a maximum of 2 expressions for each record. So basically you can try to find out maximum of which is maximum, ship date or order date, or what you can also find out is in order date, which order date is the maximum. Similar to max, we have min. Okay, the next two functions we have are now. So see, remember this now basically returns the current date and time. Okay, the time part is important. Now will give you the current date and time, whereas today will just give you the current date. Okay, simple, right? Date and time and just date. Do you have any questions in date calculations? Anyone? So everyone understood the date calculations fairly easily? Perfect. Okay, now let's see the next one. Numeric functions. Analysis, create calculated field. Here have number. So these are all my numeric functions. Guys, do you have any questions? I'm hearing few questions from some of you. So Sunil asked me a question, how often do we use calculated field in real time? Okay, so Sunil, I would say, see, generally in a Tableau dashboard, you would use approximately between 15 to 50, between 15 and 50 calculations per workbook. Okay, this is the general number that we use. Okay, so calculations are very important because the data, no one wants to change the data, but if you want any modification needed on reporting side, you will have to create it wherever you need it. You may be asked to create a table, you may be asked to create a view, okay, on the database side itself, or you may be asked to do the calculations here. Okay, Perfect. Any other questions? Okay, so let's see the numeric ones.
Sure, one last question, Shiva.
Sure.
So, when you are typing, can you go to calculation?
Okay.
So, if you have an error, it shows like in the bottom it is showing, but in the error it will show only syntax error, something like that. So, how can we get the correct information? What is the exact error?
Oh, okay. So you can get more help from my Tableau repository logs. Okay. And here you have these logs, right? These are all my log files. So let me open a file. Okay. So these log files are basically written in JSON format. Okay. JSON. So here it basically saves everything related to Tableau. Basically, for example, I'm opening my Tableau dashboard from here, logs backup file. All this information for whatever query you're trying to access, okay? You can find it here. For example, select, let's see. Okay, one moment. If you observe here, this one, oops, sorry. This one, select blah 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 field name as field name. Next line, tfld dot some field name as field type. All this information is there, right? So what this is, in reality, it's a SQL statement, okay? At this time, in this ID, in this server, in this site, okay? See here, begin query. And then we have an end query. So in begin query, find where this is present. And from here, you can find the exact query, what it wrote. Okay, so you can simply copy this and you can run it on your SQL server or basically whichever server that you're getting your information from. Okay, so here if you run this on your server, then you can also find where your mistake has been. Okay, let's see.
So, from Tableau, we cannot see where exactly we can have an issue.
No. So most of the time it will definitely tell you. So let's see. ABS of a number is expected, but I'll give a name, customer name. Okay. Now calculation contains errors. ABS is being called with a string. Did you mean float? Okay. So like this, most of the times you'll already understand where the mistake is. Okay. Perfect. So say you need to pass two things. Okay. For example, logical. Okay. So say I use this statement. So case ABC, oops, sorry, order date when 3/3/2015, then one else, see here ABC end. If I write something like this, then this is an error. Why? Because one is an integer and ABC is a string. Expected type date found string. Comparison of case statement must be data. Oops, I'm sorry. So in fact, like this is incorrect. So let's say instead of here, I use customer name. Here, Adam Gilchrist. So here now there is an error. What is that error? Expected type integer font string. Expected type integer font string. Okay, see, I changed that and it's done. So basically you can understand once you start working with them. Okay, let's see, earlier I copied a query. Okay, so let's explore this query a little bit. So select /n. So basically /n is next line. So something like this. Here I have a /n, one more /n. Next line. All these things you can do once you understand. So this is my subquery. Okay. See, left join /t is tab. Okay. We have an on clause. We have the on clause on multiple conditions. So he's going to the next line. Then we have another left join. Okay. Finally, we have a where clause. And lastly, we have an order by. Okay. All of this we can do. We can understand it from the log file. And if you run it on your server, you'll also not just get the error. Even if you do not have the error, you can also check the performance of your query. Okay. Perfect. Any other questions, guys? Okay. Now let's go dashboard analysis, create calculated field. Here we were seeing numbers. So ABS is absolute. So basically what it does is returns the absolute value of a given number. So basically all the time it will give positive numbers. That's my absolute value. Okay, as simple as that. ABS of minus 0.5 is plus 0.5 and ABS of plus 0.5 is plus 0.5. Okay, as simple as that. Cos, this is arc cosine. Okay, this is not simple cos. These are trigonometric functions, exponential in order. We won't use these much. Okay, a sine, a tan, arc tan 2. Okay, these are all trigonometric functions we generally don't use. Okay, so don't worry about those. Similarly, we have cos, we have sine. Okay, and tan. We do not use them generally, so don't worry about them. Then we have a ceiling. Okay, so what the concept of ceiling, you have to understand round first to understand ceiling. Okay, let's go to round here. So what does round do? Basically round will round to the specified number of decimals, and if number of decimals is not specified, it will round to the nearest integer, right? For example, similar in Excel is equals to round of say minus 3.1. Oops, sorry, say 0. Okay, minus 3. If nothing is mentioned in Tableau, 0 is taken by default. If say minus 3.6 is written, minus 4. So basically, if you observe the number line, okay, if you observe the number line, then round will basically round to the nearest integer. Okay, that's the round function. So similar to round function, we have two other functions. We have a floor and a ceiling. So round is like the middle one. If it's more than say 0.5, then it will more than 0.5, then it will go to the higher value. If it's less than 0.5, okay, then it takes you to the smallest integer, smaller integer. I'm sorry. What the next one floor does, it will always take you to the smallest integer. So floor of 3.1415 is 3. Any value between 3 and 4 will have a floor value of 3. whereas ceiling, any value between 3 and 4 of ceiling is 4. Okay, as simple as that. Are you clear? Did you understand these functions? Ceiling, floor and round. Questions in this? Very simple, right? Yes, awesome. Then we have a cos and cot. Trigonometric functions similar. We don't use a lot, but if you have any questions, like let me know. Like cos of 90 is 0, cos 0 is 1. But these are calculated in radians, okay? By default, radians are used. So to convert to degrees, you have to convert using something called degrees function. Or if you have degrees and wanted to convert to radians, you can use the radians function. See, radians of a number converts a number in degrees to radians. Opposite of that is my degrees function. Converts a number in radians to degrees. Okay, simple, right? Then div. So basically it returns the integer part of division or nothing but divisor. Okay, this is revealed with div. Returns the integer part of a division. Okay, then let's see exponent. So what does exponent do? So e power any number, you can generate that with the use of exponent, exp. We have seen the floor, hex binary x, so maps the xy coordinate to the x coordinate of the nearest hexagonal binary, a side length of 1, so the inputs may need to be scaled appropriately. So basically these are binary numbers but in hexadecimals. Hexadecimal system, binary numbers for x and y coordinate axis. Then we have ln is nothing but natural logarithm or ln. So remember this ln of e is equals to 1, whereas log of 10 is equals to 1. Okay, that's ln, natural logarithm, and log. In log you can also specify a base. By default the base is 10. These are all mathematical functions. Okay, we generally don't use most of them, so if you do not understand, don't worry. Then we have max and min, similar concept as we discussed in dates and strings. Then pi, basically the numerical value of pi. Then we have a power. Okay, what power does is you pass two arguments and it will raise the second one to the power, sorry, first one to the power of second one. We have seen radians, round, sine. Okay, so basically returns the sign of a number. If positive 1, negative -1, and if 0, 0. Square root returns the square root of a number. Basically positive square root is returned. Square returns the square of a number. Okay, and finally zn. Zn is used much. Okay, this is an important function, guys. Returns expression if it is not null, otherwise returns 0. Okay, so if the value is null, okay, if the value is null, then 0 is returned. If not, that value is returned. So for example, you have two values. The first one had 10, the second one had null, so blank. Okay, let me simply mark it up. Okay, now if you apply zn, this will be 10, whereas this will be 0. Okay, awesome. Any questions? Perfect, no questions. So let's say logical, we'll be using logical a lot. Okay, So logical are important. We'll be using logical a lot. So concentrate, please. So in this logical, we'll be using most of the time, we'll be using case, if, if null. These three are very important, which we'll be using a lot. Case, if, and if null. Most of the time we'll be using these. So before we start the case function, okay, let's see other functions. Case, if, and if null. We'll start with other functions, okay. Zn, we just saw it, right? Zn here, the same function. Returns expression if it is not null, otherwise returns 0. Similarly in logical also, we have a Zn function. Returns expression if it is not null, otherwise returns 0. The next one is when. So basically, when you are trying to give a certain value, so basically say if you want to check if the state is equals to Illinois, okay, if the state is equals to Illinois, and what you'll write, state when Illinois, something like this. Remember, for strings we use these quotes, okay. So when you want to equate to that value, then you use when. Then, so once you equated your value with when your state is Illinois, what should happen? Okay, if your state is Illinois, then find sum of sales. Then you can write state when Illinois, then say sum of sales, okay, sum of sales, okay, as simple as that. What should happen once you find out? Or we have seen this in SQL also. Basically, the idea is that when you have two expressions, this or that, or when you want when you have two conditions and you want to pass, when either of them is passed, then you use an or condition. Similar to or, we have an and condition. When you have two expressions, okay, and both of them should pass to go forward, then you use an and statement, okay. Or and not. So basically, if you're saying this is not equal to something, then you use the not function. Very simple. We have a min and a max. Simple. Okay, is null. Okay, is null is a Boolean expression. It will basically check if the expression that you passed is null or not. So returns true if the expression does not contain nulls. If there are nulls, then the answer is false. That's all. Is_date we have already seen. To check if the string that we passed is date or not, we use this. Okay, we'll come to if now. So basically in IIF, okay, in IIF you have a test, then clause and else clause. IIF or if profit is greater than 0, then use the keyword profit. If not, use the keyword loss. That's all. So basically if statement, okay, if statement, and there is only one then and else. So if this is written, okay, IIF profit is greater than 0, profit loss, but what if the expression that you passed in this one is null? You cannot compute it greater than 0 or less than 0, right? So in that case you can use unknown. Okay, awesome. The next one, returns expression if it is not null, otherwise returns expression 2. So simple one, if null. So if the first expression is null, return the second expression. If the first expression is not null, return the first expression. Okay. If expression 1 is not null, expression 1 is the result. If expression 1 is null, then expression 2 is the result. If both of them are null, then null is the result. Okay. If statement. So if is very important. Okay. The syntax is if some expression. Okay. Here this is like a condition. If state, oops, sorry, state is equals to Illinois, then sum of sales, else sum of profit, and once you finish, you write the keyword end. So here there is one small thing. You cannot mix aggregate and non-aggregate. Okay. Let's see. The aggregate. I'm removing the aggregate. So here I could have used a group by. The calculation is valid. One more thing. One major difference between if function, okay, logical if function and case function. Okay, these two are very important, as I mentioned earlier. One important difference between if and case is that, so here say I have something like this: case state when Illinois, then case state when Illinois, then one, else say ABC, end. Now this is good, but if I have made this as an integer, okay, then this is wrong. So this data type that comes out at the end should be same all the time. Okay, for case function, but this is not needed for if function. Okay, so if and case statement are interchangeable. If and case are interchangeable. The only problem or advantage for if is that the result or return value can be anything, can be of any different format, it doesn't matter. Whereas for case statement, it should be same. The advantage of case statement is that the performance of case statement is better compared to if statement. Okay. And another important thing is in if statement, you can check on multiple arguments. So something like if region is equals to central, then do this. Else if, oops, sorry, if region is equals to say, oops, sorry, central, then say 1. Else if state is equals to Illinois, then 2. So I can compare more than one element here. Okay. Whereas I cannot compare. The problem with case statement is that I can only compare one expression. So when I come back here in a case statement, I can only compare either region or state at a time. I can nest them. Okay, what do I mean by nest? So basically one function inside another function. So case, say region when central, Okay, then again I can write one more case inside this. Case state when Illinois, then say 1, else 0, end. Now this end is corresponds to this case statement. Okay, then I have to continue the other one, else say 3, end. Okay, so this 3 corresponds to this case statement. So basically what I'm saying is, once region is equals to central, then it will go inside and check if the state is Illinois or not. If the state is Illinois, then the result is 1. If not, the result is 0. Okay, perfect. So that's all my logic.
Can you use if in the same one and have string? Like instead of case, use if and then.
Oh, okay. If region is equals to central, then again if state is equals to Illinois, then 1, else 0, and else 3, end. This calculation is
string. Can you use one string here?
Like this?
Yeah, you said we can use multiple strings. I mean, we can use both.
Like not in nested. You cannot do it in nested.
Okay.
Yeah. Awesome. Any other questions, guys? Do you have any questions? Okay. So actually, I need a small favor from you. Can we not have class tomorrow? Okay. Is that fine with you guys? Not tomorrow. We can have it on Wednesday if you want. Wednesday is fine for me, but not tomorrow. Is that fine? If you're fine with that, then we'll cancel the class tomorrow. Yeah?
Sure, sir.
Everyone? Okay. Yeah. 4 responses. Okay. Do you want to have a session on Wednesday then or not? Do you want to have a session on Wednesday or not? Yes, definitely. Yes, want it. 4 want. Okay, perfect. So we'll have the session on Wednesday. Okay. Wednesday is no for tomorrow. Okay. Awesome, guys. Have a good day. Bye. No questions right now? Thank you.